welcome. I am going to tag someone real quick and then we will get started. How's everyone doing today? Tell me something good. Just say hi if you are watching the replay or if you're watching live. So good to have you. Welcome to the Food Freedom Confidence, episode 47. Today is all about how a new way to approach emotional eating improved my health. And I'm going to talk about it. We're going to talk about emotional eating and really any unwanted behavior that you have, really changing the way that we approach it, that we see it, can impact your health. Okay? So how many of us get stuck in this cycle of like the same unwanted behavior over and over again, and we don't know how to get out of it? We beat ourselves up over it and then we do it again, and it's just like this ongoing cycle that never ends. And we wonder, is there a solution for this? There is a solution, a non-conventional way to look at food, to look at your emotional eating, to look at unwanted eating behaviors. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. So welcome. I am Hannah Hips. I am a donut eating, veggie loving eating psychology coach, mind body nutrition coach, as well as a yoga instructor and a meditation facilitator. So lots of things to help you slow down, look at a new perspective on life and how we take care of ourselves in our body. So let's dive in. I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to be effective in these lives that I do for you. And so talking about emotional eating, there's this, I talk to a lot of people about it. You know, this is one of our big things that we help people with is emotional eating, how to overcome it, how to feel better about it, all the good things about that. And the biggest thing that I hear is like we see it as a problem. It's a problem that needs to be solved. And we think it's bad and wrong. We think we're wrong for doing it. We need more willpower. We need more control. So all of these things have a play in it. And so when we see something as wrong or bad, then we're wrong or bad for doing it, which continues the cycle of like self-hate. And then we can't get out of this behavior. But one thing that we need to look at about emotional eating, it works. Okay? If we were to look at it differently of how it works for you, because it does, it solves a problem. When you are emotionally eating, you're in this stress state. And when you emotionally eat, you're moving away from that pain, you're moving away from that stress and moving more into pleasure, relaxation. You get your dopamine hit, you get that feeling of euphoria, and it relieves that stress temporarily, but it relieves it. That's why you go to it over and over again, right? Makes perfect sense. That's why it's mainly sweet things, because there's this deep sense of pleasure that we're searching for. And so when we are emotionally eating helps regulate our emotions. And it's been being used forever. Think about it. When a baby is born and it cries, it doesn't know what to do. It's unregulated, doesn't know how to regulate its emotions, right? It cries. And so then we feed the baby and it stops crying. So taught at a very young age, food is soothing. And so when we look at it as like it serves a purpose for us, it serves that purpose of moving away from pain into pleasure, regulating our emotions, all of those things, we can create a little bit more acceptance with it. Because when we're fighting it continually, what we resist persists, correct? So if we keep resisting emotional eating and thinking that we shouldn't do it and it's wrong, what's going to happen? We're probably going to continue to do it. And there's so many different ways to help regulate our emotions. And so I want you to think about some other ways that you can help manage your emotions, process your emotions, regulate your emotions. And I'm a big believer in using food for that too. You can use food and bring in another mechanism to help regulate your emotions. So it's like, I call it like the eat and feel. You know, you eat and you feel, and you eat and you feel. And so you have this better balance of regulating your emotions. So first and foremost, just know that emotional eating works. Okay? If we stop making ourselves wrong and bad about it, then it will be a lot easier to move through it. So if you can take a few moments and see how it's serving you, how it does help you, even if it is temporary, how it does help you, then we can let go of this self-hate and sabotaging effort, and we can really have a little bit more compassion for what we're going through. So it's this immediate gratification, usually what happens, right? We feel something and we want to get rid of that feeling, so we reach for something that is going to help us get a different feeling quickly. And food does that. So there's different parts of us. When we look at emotional eating, it has this deeper wisdom to it. And that's really what I want to talk about today, is the deeper wisdom in emotional eating. Any unwanted eating behavior. If we can see it as this teacher that is like trying to get our attention and we keep ignoring it, it's going to keep persisting, right? So when we can see this behavior that we don't like as a teacher, what is the wisdom in it? What part of us is not being met? What needs aren't being met? So if we take a look deeper at like what has really happened, what are we not getting in our life? What are we missing? What part of ourself needs attention? Is it that inner child that wants that instant gratification? The rebel inside of us that was always told no, and so we're going to do it. Like, think about the different parts of ourselves that we often suppress and push down when there's like, we need to become the adult. Have you ever heard of parenting yourself? Of like, how would you help your child begin to regulate themselves and regulate their emotions and help them through difficult, challenging things? We get to do that to ourselves too. So first we have to understand what part of ourselves needs that. And then also, what's the wisdom in this? What am I not getting? What am I missing in my life? So that's just like a huge, huge part. So when we see that hidden message in our behavior, then we're able to learn from it, to grow from it, to expand, and see it as not this enemy, but as a wise person that is getting our attention. I just want you to really understand changing that mindset and that approach to how we look at challenges in our life will change everything, because if we're constantly fighting what we're doing, it's causing this stress response in our body, and that in itself reduces our health. Let me say that again. Stress in the body reduces your health. And so when we can see the problem or our challenge as mainly the solution, or something that is more wisdom in it, it's not going to be this adversary anymore. It's not going to be this enemy, but we can begin to befriend it a little bit, and then we can begin to work with it, which is automatically going to calm our body down, relax, go more into that relaxed state, where then we can actually receive the healing. Is this making sense for you? I hope so. So I want you to think about what could be the hidden message in your emotional eating. I wrote some notes just so I wouldn't forget. So it's asking us to attend to our emotions in a whole new way. It's asking us to look at really what's going on in our lives, to explore, to be curious about what's happening in our inner world. Oftentimes, the reason why we do emotional eat, we reach for food because we want to distract ourselves from our inner world. But when we can actually see this as like, this is an opportunity to move in, it's an opportunity to get to know yourself more, it's an opportunity to grow, then it's not as scary. It's actually a really safe place to be, because you're getting to know yourself. That's the whole point, right? Like, who are you? And if we're distracting ourselves with food all the time, we're not able to really know who we are. And so emotional eating is this amazing wisdom and gift that helps us understand and be the potential that we were always meant to be. So some things that emotional eating might be asking of us or what you might be holding back. So like what's missing in your life. These are so good because I have hit, and I think every single one of these. So they're good. Okay, so it may be asking that you are holding back speaking your truth. Think about that. When you want to say something and you're not, do you reach for food to stuff it down? It may be asking us to communicate better with our loved ones. These are hard conversations that you need to have that you're not having. Maybe asking us to consider making an important life change or course correction. So are you in a relationship that's not serving you? Are you have a job that's depleting you? Are you fighting with your children constantly? Like, what is the course correction that needs to happen in your life to be able to like move forward? It could be an invitation to stop putting things off, to allow more love and connection into your life, and to let go of grudges and disappointment, and to start focusing on what's good about us rather than what we're thinking is wrong. So think about that, like really creating that space of letting things go and bringing things in. It could be drawing our attention to relationships that need a little bit of TLC, and that's including the relationship with yourself. Maybe the relationship with your kids, your coworkers, your boss, your employees, whatever you do, like because the relationship with food is the same with any other kind of relationship. If we have a difficult relationship with food, most likely we have a lot of other difficult relationships too. So what relationship needs that healing, that love? Emotional eating is asking us to get real with ourselves, and it wants to ask questions. How is this wisdom of life asking me to grow as a person? So really, emotionally eating is here to help us grow. Can be difficult and challenging to begin to navigate that, because first, how many of us, I know I talk to a lot of my clients, they've been emotional eating for many, many years. They don't know how to feel their emotions. They don't know what emotion's showing up because they've suppressed it for so long. And it's like, we want to take baby steps in feeling our emotions, because it can feel very overwhelming and can feel like a ton is coming at you right away. So when you are beginning to navigate healing your relationship with emotional eating, healing your relationship with food, you can take the smallest steps that you need to. You can go super slow. And I have a few ways to really help you begin to navigate that, just to start moving in that direction. Because it's like, some people are like, you can rip the Band-Aid off and just be like, I'm going to feel everything. Or kind of like me, I had to like take my time and rip it off slowly and like ease my way and like kind of recalibrate what it felt like to have emotions in my body without suppressing them. So our relationship with food is often a place where many people begin to grow, and consider yourself like the emotional eating is like life is a classroom. What is the thing that you need to learn? How can we be more self-aware? How can we self-nourish ourselves and really create this personal power? Because if we are thinking that emotional eating is the enemy and it has the power over you, you are giving it the power. Of course, if you're giving something else the power, how are we to have our personal power? How are we to have our choice? We then become the victim of our life. When we start to see it as this deeper meaning and lesson, then we are starting to take the power back into our hands of like, I get to feel a certain way. I get to speak my truth. I get to share. I get to love. I get to connect. I get to do all these things. Right? Then it's like you have the power and you are able to then regulate yourself better. And we're not necessarily reaching for food all the time. We can choose. So here's the thing. It's like we choose then to reach for food. I think I had a client the other day was talking about how she was like, I was really stressed out and I wanted onion rings. And so I had them and I knew exactly what I was doing and I chose to eat them and I was totally fine with it. How many times do we not choose? We feel like the food is choosing us and we're not choosing it. But we can change that. We can really begin to adopt a new approach to that and be like, you know what? I am really emotional right now. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to deal with it. I'm going to eat these M&Ms. I'm choosing to eat these M&Ms to help me regulate these emotions that I can't deal with. This stress in my life, I know I'm totally distracting myself from what's happening in my life, but I need these M&Ms right now and I'm choosing to eat them. Do you see how different that is? You still eat the M&Ms. You're still aware of the stresses that are happening in your life, but you're not like this mindlessly out of control, eating it, trying to like totally numb yourself. It's like you're changing that approach of how you're looking at food and making it more of, I have the power, I'm choosing to do this, and having self-compassion for yourself as you go through that. Super hard, because most of the time when we emotionally eat or have a behavior that we don't like, what's the first thing we do? We feel guilty, shame, and we beat ourselves up. That doesn't really help the situation, does it? Because then we feel even worse and bad, and so then we're like, well, I already feel bad, so I might as well continue on eating this bag of M&Ms, and you finish the whole bag, and then you feel crappy, and then you feel bad about yourself, and it's just like this whole cycle again. But if you choose to eat the M&Ms, and you're like, I'm choosing to eat these M&Ms, this is going to help me feel better right now, and I'm okay with that, then it's different. It's like you have the power, and the food doesn't have the power, and you probably can choose to stop then. Surprisingly, you will have a lot better chance of being able to say no or yes. I want more. I don't want more. It's amazing. It's literally amazing how when you have your power back, how your relationship with food, especially sugar, if you guys have sugar issues, will begin to shift naturally without a whole lot of effort, more willpower, or more control. Okay. So a couple ways to help start to deal with your emotional eating and regulating is like really think about what else. What other ways can you help process your emotions? What other things can you do just to help you feel like you're doing something that's more uplifting or healthier for you? It could be, going for a walk. It could be stretching. It could be just breathing, maybe journaling, reading for 20 minutes. We have to start like building toolbox, right, of other things that could possibly help you. And it's really trial and error, trial and success. You got to try a lot of different things, but if you don't try anything different, then you don't know what's going to work for you or not. Sometimes one thing's going to work and sometimes it doesn't work. So having a lot of different varieties of ways to help you regulate your emotions, to deal with it, sometimes to deal and feel is what it's all about, and just being in that uncomfortable space. Sometimes it's like you got to move your body. Sometimes you got to ride it out. Giving yourself that opportunity to try different things will help you begin to regulate your emotions without using food all the time. The second thing is like really learn to breathe. When we're stressed, I love talking about this. When we're stressed, we often have very short breath, which our breath is usually up into our chest. And so that keeps us in a stress state. So when we learn to breathe, slow down your breath, like follow your breath moving all the way down your chest, down into your lungs, down into your belly, and then exhaling it all out. Automatically, that shifts your nervous system into a relaxed state. And even if you take 1, maybe 5 breaths, really slowing down your breaths, that will automatically shift you, because when you are in a relaxed state, it's hard to binge on food. When you're relaxed, you have the power and you're able to regulate yourself better and choose differently of what kind of foods you want. So really breathe while you eat, breathe before you eat, really bring in the breath. Is so important. Our breath is vital. It's life force, right? And so if we're breathing in a way that's really short and sporadic, that is not good life force moving into your body. The deeper we can breathe, the deeper that we can feel. And a lot of times if we do not necessarily like our body or like how our body feels, we don't want to breathe into it. but I'm going to invite you to work on breathing into it. And the last thing is really just to cease fire with emotional eating. Stop thinking that it's the enemy. Stop thinking that you're bad or wrong for doing it. Like, really start to forgive yourself and also have more compassion. It's probably really challenging. It's a lot easier said than done, but really creating that space for yourself to start looking at it differently. Start having your compassion. Wow, I have a lot going on, and that's why I am emotional eating. That's why I have all these behaviors that I really don't want. It's because there's a lot going on in my life. How can we show ourselves a little bit more compassion? Because I'm sure we can show a lot of other people compassion if they're going through something difficult. Can we turn that around towards us? So if this was helpful, please let me know. If what resonated with you, I want to make sure that I'm giving you the information and help that makes sense to you. And if you want to dive deeper into this, I do have a program. It's an 8-week program that can help you begin to have a better relationship with food, understand why you do what you do. I've had such great success with a lot of my clients that they stop thinking about food all the time. They don't regulate their emotions with food, and it's 8 weeks. It's super quick and easy, and really a great process. So if you're interested in learning how to navigate all of this and you're like, oh, how do I actually do this, Hannah? Then just comment below or send me a message and we'll talk about it. I would love to work with you. And just know that there's always a solution. There's something further to go for to help you feel better about yourself and your relationship with food, and just really become friends with emotional eating. So anyway, have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me, and we will talk soon. All right.